And at number 10, Oprah. This is one that was incredibly shocking to me because Oprah is one of the most beloved people in the world, and other celebrities are constantly singing her praises, sharing how down-to-earth and nice Oprah is in real life. But it seems that Oprah might act a little differently when the cameras are not rolling, or when she's not talking to another celebrity. A waiter that served Oprah for lunch shared their eye-rolling encounter with the TV host. They wrote on Reddit, quote, "Oprah didn't tip me on a $200 lunch. Instead, she signed a napkin for me and acted like she was doing me a huge favor. The kicker was when she walked in, they gave away all of my other tables so she didn't have to wait for anything. So I made $4 an hour for 2 hours for the privilege of serving Oprah." And she went on and on about signing a napkin that I never even asked for. It still makes me so mad when I hear that celebrities do not tip. Like, Oprah is a billionaire. She can afford to tip. It's so outrageous. And at number 9, Chevy Chase. This one is less of a shock because it's well known that Chevy Chase is not the greatest guy, although he plays lovable characters on screen. Many of his former SNL castmates have spoken out against him, and he was even banned from the show for his problematic behavior. One Reddit user shared that he is just as awful in real life. They wrote, quote, "I saw Chevy Chase at a hotel once as a small 9-year-old, and I loved the National Lampoon's Vacation movies. When I asked for his autograph, he verbally went off on me. When my dad came over, he went off on him. He said something messed up, which is that my dad wasn't raising me right. The dude is a straight up jerk." And at number 8, Randy Jackson. Randy Jackson is another star I only ever heard good things about. He was known for being the good guy on American Idol compared to Simon Cowell, who was notoriously savage towards contestants. But this might be another case of a celebrity being completely two-faced, acting nice and friendly while on camera, but being completely different when cameras are not rolling. One Reddit user shared a behind-the-scenes look at Randy during a children's hospital event. Quote, "Randy Jackson was invited to a telethon hosted by a hospital for children with disabilities, where my little sister lived until she passed away. Whenever the cameras were off, he'd hide in his hotel room and seem disgusted with the kids. He didn't want anything to do with them. When the cameras were on though, he was all smiles and hugs. It was so disheartening and disappointing to witness. It was over 10 years ago and I still remember it to this day."
Number 7, Russell Crowe. The actor has had a reputation for being outright mean to both his Hollywood peers and his fans, making him an extremely controversial figure in the industry. I mean, where to start with Russell Crowe? There were rumors that he threatened any media platform that published stories about him having a fling with Courtney Love. But a great example of his overall attitude is when he intimidated and attacked the producer of the BAFTA Awards for cutting his speech short and preventing him from reciting poetry. In 2005, he was then charged with criminal possession of a weapon for allegedly throwing a phone and cutting a hotel clerk's eye, all because he was unable to get connected with his wife. One of the lesser talked about but worrying incidents involves Crowe and rapper Azealia Banks. Crowe forcibly removed her from a party he was hosting. Not only that, but he was said to have been violent and allegedly spat on her and used racist language. The Australian actor is also notoriously difficult to work with and is known for regularly shouting at his scriptwriters, yelling at them on phone calls while discussing the story. So it's safe to say that he lost not only film roles but a lot of fans due to his outright nastiness. Number 6, Jared Leto. The actor and singer really seemed to be getting a lot of backlash in recent years, especially in the era of the Me Too movement. It seemed that out of his fellow Hollywood celebrities, not everyone was willing to be silent when they heard he was behaving inappropriately towards young women. In 2018, Suit Life of Zack and Cody star Dylan Sprouse came forward on Twitter and brought disturbing allegations against him to light. Quote, "Yo, Jared Leto, now that you've slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is?" As you would have predicted, the tweet totally blew up and many people were happy that he was finally getting called out. The situation quickly escalated when Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn tweeted the following as an answer to Sprouse's initial tweet. Quote, "He starts at 18 on the internet? Aside from predatory behavior, Leto has treated his fans horribly and was seen on occasion randomly giving the finger to audience members. As a result, he really doesn't have many mainstream fans left, save for the fans of his cult/band 30 Seconds to Mars." Number 5, Ellen DeGeneres. She was one of the most popular talk show hosts in the world only a few years ago, with fans across the globe. But all that came crashing down for Ellen DeGeneres when she was exposed for being ruthless to her employees when the cameras weren't rolling, and just a downright mean-spirited person. Her motto was ironically, "Be kind," and that completely backfired on her when former employees started coming forward with their Ellen horror stories. In a BuzzFeed article, the comedian was labeled a bully and named named as the culprit for creating a toxic work environment by one current and 10 former employees who anonymously gave their true thoughts about her in the article. They essentially confirmed what up until then had only been rumors, with one TV writer claiming that Ellen required anyone who talks to her at work to chew gum from a bowl outside of her office first, and that she would frequently send staff home to shower if she thought that they smelled bad. While the accusations haven't hurt her bank balance, Ellen's image has been tarnished forever, and you'd have to search the internet for days to find anyone that still supports her. Number 4. Catherine Zeta-Jones. You wouldn't think the actress was someone with a bad attitude, but it appears that's exactly what she has. The most famous story about her happened way back in 1998 when an 8-year-old girl was attending a special screening of The Mask of Zorro. She went up to Catherine Zeta-Jones and asked her for some advice on acting, as that is the career path that she wanted to follow. Catherine allegedly looked her up and down and said sarcastically, "You're pretty enough, I suppose," before turning back to her conversation. Not to mention what she said in 2018, which really highlighted how she perceives herself. Quote, "I'm sick of being humble, I really am. Sorry I'm rich, so sorry I'm married to a movie star, so sorry I'm not so bad looking." In fact, according to Page 6, the actress regularly sings her own praises and brags about how much money she has compared to other people. In 2003, she was quoted saying, "$1 million isn't a lot of money for people like us." I mean, if that wasn't enough, she said, quote, "Some people collect art or lots of money. We collect houses because if we have to look at something, we prefer the view." Yeah, most people were not jumping to support the actress with a track record of saying things like that.
And number 3, Jim Belushi. One fan shared just how terrible Jim Belushi was to them after they waited hours for an autograph. To make it worse, one of Belushi's co-stars was incredibly nice and made the contrast even worse. They wrote, quote, "Years ago us kids waited for Jim Belushi and John Candy after they shot Only the Lonely in Chicago. Asked Belushi for an autograph and he literally called us a bunch of pieces of stupid kids and to get the F out of there. Then came Candy with a big old smile and a cigar hanging out of his mouth, and he spent the next 10 minutes signing autographs and thanking all of his fans." And at number 2, Alec Baldwin. Given all the scandals that Alec Baldwin has been in, it's no surprise that he's notoriously rude. He's attacked paparazzi, gotten in physical fights with hecklers, and he's been known to be very arrogant. One Reddit user spoke of their interaction and wrote, quote, "One day in the Hamptons I ran into Alec Baldwin and his wife and their 2 dogs. I was 6, so I wanted to pet their dogs. Mind you, they left their dogs outside of the store so I didn't know they were theirs. They quickly yanked their dogs away from me and yelled at me. I was 6. That just proves the kind of people they are. I mean, who gets mad at a kid for petting a dog that you left outside? And at number 10, David Letterman. Several old interview clips of David Letterman's have resurfaced in the last year, and many are saying that he crossed major lines. One example was with Lindsay Lohan in 2013. She did the interview recently out of rehab, and Letterman persistently asked her questions about it, even though she made it clear that she didn't want to be asked about it. However, he unfortunately kept pressing, leading her to cry. Next, he did an unfortunate interview with Janet Jackson. Letterman was pressing her about her infamous Super Bowl incident, asking her questions about how her wardrobe malfunction came to be. Right after she was asked about it, she replied, quote, "I don't want to relive any of that." But Letterman kept asking, while Jackson looked like she wanted to be anywhere but there. This is literally the tip of the iceberg, and there are so many more horrendous moments with women that took place on his show. And at number 9, Michael Jordan. Basketball legend Michael Jordan is the idol of many who love the sport. But there's apparently a very rude and entitled side of him that one golf caddy saw firsthand. Allegedly, this golf caddy was caddying for Jordan the whole day. And at the end of the long and I'm sure stressful day, all the other players tipped their caddies, as that's the custom in golf. However, Michael Jordan did not tip his caddy, and the caddy's first thought was that maybe Jordan was unhappy with him and maybe he did a bad job for him. So he asked Jordan if everything was good, and he allegedly responded, quote, "What do you want, a tip? You should feel lucky to carry my clubs." And when rich people don't tip, it truly just ticks me off to a whole other level. Like, the entitlement is just so crazy. And at number 8, Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron is a Disney star who is beloved by many for her kind personality. However, many fans were shocked to learn that she definitely has a mean side. One incident happened when a fan tweeted out saying how their goal in life was to have Dove notice her. And while that goal was achieved, but not in the way that she hoped. Dove ended up responding savagely to the fan, saying, quote, "That's a very small and unimportant life goal. And maybe if I notice you, you'll realize how unfulfilling that is and turn your phone off because celebrities don't matter. Go find yourself in nature and create your own life philosophy. Aim higher, babe." And if you interpret what she's saying the way that Dove was probably intending, it can be implied here that Dove just wanted the fan to realize that being noticed by Dove, wouldn't help her in life in any way, and to stop putting so much meaning on it. But obviously the way Dove said it was really harsh, and if I was the fan, I probably would have been heartbroken. And at number 7, Carrie Underwood. This one honestly breaks my heart. This person who has seen a ton of celebrities in their workplace said that Carrie Underwood was by far the worst. They wrote, quote, "I worked as a maintenance worker at a concert venue for a few summers and I bumped into several celebrities. But Carrie Underwood is the one who sticks out because of how demanding she always was. She refused to use a toilet if someone else had sat on the seat before her, so we had to buy new toilet seats every time she came. Considering how much we already had to fix, the last thing we wanted to do was pointlessly replace perfectly good toilet seats. In contrast, Reba McEntire would always eat lunch with the staff and was always super chill." Can you imagine how entitled you have to be to demand like a new toilet basically? I cannot believe the venue agreed to do that for her. And at number 6, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is a famous actor and producer that fans might not know that much about. However, many celebrities have shared just how open-hearted and kind that he is. Specifically, when Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey after leaving the royals, they shared that they were on the verge of being homeless with no security. However, Tyler Perry offered them his LA home to live in, along with giving them security until they were able to work it out. What an amazing guy, right? Well, apparently he doesn't treat normal people as nice. A person who worked to promote Perry's movie Boo! A Madea Halloween in 2016 shared his strange behavior and long list of demands. Apparently Perry flew private to the event with 13 of his staff. They were all forced in the back of the plane while he had the entire front to himself. They added, quote, "His team sent our local agency a long list of demands and rules in anticipation of his arrival. Tyler wanted to be addressed referred to as Mr. Perry. We were prohibited to speak to him directly, only to his team. Room temperature orange Gatorade had to be in his green room. Furniture wasn't allowed in his press interview suite. All media and press had to travel to him. Mr. Perry would not leave the hotel, and he wouldn't wait for anyone." The person added that his entire team seemed terrified of him. Halfway number 5, Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is a celebrity with mixed reviews. Tons of people say she's down to earth and loves her fans, while others have shared some negative experiences with the star. One person shared their experience working with Minaj on set, writing, quote, "I've worked with Nicki Minaj before, and while on a set with her, I was told not to look her in the face. She also had people move out of the room before she would come in the room. It was a whole ordeal." And at number 4, Miles Teller. Miles Teller being on this list should not be a shock to anyone, because he is constantly called out for his horrible behavior. Even reporters that have interviewed him have called him entitled and rude. He's even trashed well-loved and respected actors like John Cusack. When a reporter told him they are similar actors, Teller replied, quote, "I guess we look alike. We did some similar movies. He wasn't traditionally good-looking, who was offbeat and quirky but confident. I get it, but I don't want his career." And people who have met him in real life have had similar experiences. They wrote, quote, "I met Miles Teller at a bar. He told my friend to buy him a drink and he still refused to take a picture with him. He ended up smacking my phone out of my hand, and I'll never watch a movie with him in it again." And at number 2, Rachael Ray. Rachael Ray is someone who I'm not too surprised to see on this list, because from watching her show, I never really got the vibe that she was trying to be really nice. The celebrity chef is known for being pretty brutal, and she doesn't have much of a filter when dealing with people. That's why negative interactions are pretty common with her. One encounter came from someone who was working in a mall while she was visiting for a book signing. Basically, they were both sitting there just waiting around, and there was an awkward silence. And like a lot of other people would have done in that situation, he just decided to, spark up some conversation, make some casual small talk, and ask her how her day was going. And apparently, without even looking up from her phone, she replied, quote, "Don't talk to me." Yikes.
Number 10, Lea Michele. The actress who played the most arrogant character on Glee has recently been outed as being one of the meanest celebrities in Hollywood. The music TV series that helped Lea Michele rise to fame was also her undoing, as it looks like the horrible way she treated the cast and crew on set came back to bite her. Many of her peers, including actress Samantha Ware, spoke out against her behavior. She told Variety, quote, "It was after I did my first performance. That's when it started. The silent treatment, the stare stare downs, the looks, the comments under her breath, the weird passive aggressiveness, it all built up after Samantha spoke out. Dozens of co-stars, film crew and staff flooded social media with stories about the diva. There were even reports of Michelle only speaking to people through her assistant and not acknowledging her co-star's presence. As expected, she came out and issued an apology, but people still haven't forgotten about her atrocious behavior. And when it was announced that she was replacing fellow actress Beanie Feldstein in the Broadway production of Funny Girl, fans were up in arms and some have even called for a boycott. Number 9. Mike Myers. His name is synonymous with the hilarious and charismatic character Austin Powers. However, the actor is reportedly completely different in real life, especially on set. There have been numerous reports suggesting that Myers is a nightmare to work with some even claiming him to be a control freak and grumpy. It has come to light that the actor makes tons of demands of his assistants. In fact, Myers reportedly made life a daily nightmare for the cast and crew of one of his biggest films. According to Amy Hill, who was his co-star in The Cat in the Hat, she said it was a horrible, nightmarish experience. Hill claimed that he selfishly kept everyone waiting for hours, overruled the director, and even had someone standing by just holding his personal chocolates in a dish. Quote, "It was so weird, it was just the worst, I was miserable." Another story involves a fan that offered to buy the actor a drink. After telling Myers how much he enjoyed his work, Myers allegedly just looked at him and said, "I can afford my own drinks," cursed at him and said, "Save your money for my next movie." Ouch. Apart from being notoriously difficult to work with, his mean-spirited attitude towards regular people have shrunk his fan base down to a fraction of what it used to be. Number 8. Rachael Ray. The celebrity cook has a reputation for being a meanie. Many fans in her audience have reported that before filming her show, she often avoids speaking to them and appears cold and disinterested, and just looks like she would rather be somewhere else. But it's not just her fans. In fact, several famous chefs have publicly come out saying that they straight up don't like her, like Martha Stewart and the late Anthony Bourdain. Even members of Ray's own family have turned against her. In 2013, scandal broke out after Ray's aunt, Geraldine, tragically died while staying at Ray's house. But neither Ray nor her husband John showed up at the funeral. Instead, she was allegedly tweeting about cats, recipes, and TV shows, which led her cousin, Gina Mesnick, to speak out against her. Quote, "I found it very insensitive and inappropriate. It just shows how demeaning Rachael was to my family on the day we buried my mom after she died under such horrible circumstances." Her fan base is now practically non-existent. In fact, a good portion of the internet harbors deep loathing for the chef. There's so many online forums dedicated to Rachael Ray slander. In fact, there's even a blog called Rachael Ray Sucks, and you can guess what kind of things people post on there.
And at number 7, Teri Hatcher. This one breaks my heart because I'm a huge fan of Desperate Housewives. I'm currently rewatching it right now. I'm on season 8 if anyone's wondering. But apparently on the set of the hit show, she was known as the mean girl, and all the leading ladies got along except for her. One of her co-stars told the creator of Desperate Housewives that she was the quote meanest woman in the world. She was not only a pain on the show, but on practically all of her projects. And she now has a reputation for a bad attitude. Back when she was filming Tomorrow Never Dies, co-star Pierce Brosnan called her out for never being on time. Luckily, she's a good enough actress that people put up with her bad attitude on set. And at number 6, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan has a reputation for being controversial and saying whatever's on his mind, regardless of the consequences. But this behavior has earned him a reputation of being mean, specifically towards Meghan Markle. And there's actually a dating story behind it that makes the whole thing even more juicy. Apparently the two went on a date and Meghan ghosted him afterwards, spawning his hatred of her. Most recently, after Meghan's explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, Piers did not hold back, trashing her on Good Morning Britain. Before him, the other host could even discuss the topic. He went on raging about how the interview is tarnishing the reputation of Britain around the world and hurting everything the Queen has worked so hard for. After the outrage from viewers, Piers decided to step down from the show. Halfway at number 5, Kiefer Sutherland. Apparently Sutherland had a lot in common with his 24 character, Jack Bauer, as both of them constantly got on the nerves of their colleagues. According to an interview with Freddie Prinze Jr., he claimed that Sutherland was very unprofessional and he hated working with him on 24. Prinze Jr. said, quote, "I did 24, it was terrible. I hated every moment of it," with him adding that Sutherland was the most unprofessional person that he ever worked with. and he felt so sternly about it, he would say it to his face if he ever confronted him about it. Another co-star also spoke about her disdain for Sutherland, saying that working with him was very hard because he's a very angry person, angry with himself and others, which he took out on anyone who got in his way. And at number 4, Patrick Dempsey. McDreamy was the lovable and kind hero in the hit show Grey's Anatomy, but his behavior when the cameras were not rolling was completely different. And apparently he was such a diva, he ended up being fired from the show. Shonda Rhimes, the show's creator, head writer, executive producer, and showrunner, announced that she adopted a quote no a-holes policy, apparently after working with Dempsey. Allegedly, a big part of the reason that he was fired is because he was disrespectful to the crew of the show. When he was killed off the 15th season, fans were shocked, but those close to the show knew it was a long time coming. A source close to the situation told Radar Online that Rhimes had no choice but to fire Dempsey. Quote, he had been showing up late and was holding up production because he couldn't remember his lines.
Number 3, Katherine Heigl. Television medical drama Grey's Anatomy catapulted Katherine Heigl into the limelight. The thing is, she has a reputation of being extremely unpleasant to work with, and after trashing her most popular movie ever, she lost a whole bunch of fans. I'm talking about 2007's Knocked Up. It was not just hilarious but very well received all round, scoring an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes and bringing in $219 million at the box office against a $25 million budget. But Katherine was less than thrilled about her participation in the movie and called the film sexist, telling Vanity Fair in 2008 that she thought the movie, quote, paints women as shrews, as humorless and uptight. It paints the men as lovable, goofy, fun-loving guys. She went on to say that she had a hard time with the film on some days because she said that her character was a B-word and a killjoy. Not only that, but Heigl's bad reputation stems largely from her decision to decline a second Emmy nomination for Grey's Anatomy in 2008. She released a cringy public statement that claimed she simply wasn't given the material this season to warrant an Emmy nomination. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Number 2, Jamie Lynn Spears. Someone that has lost all support from what little fan base she had to begin with is Jamie Lynn Spears. She's known pretty much as the younger sibling of Britney Spears, but she didn't exactly hide long in her sister's shadow before entering the limelight. Although she made a few appearances in film and television as a child, she didn't receive star status until landing the lead role as Zoe Brooks on the Nickelodeon show Zoe 101. After 3 years on the very popular show, the then 16-year-old announced that she was pregnant, effectively ending her role and putting her acting career on hiatus. But people dislike the star because of the horrific way she has treated her sister over the years. In fact, fans of Britney have heavily criticized Jamie Lynn for an apparent lack of support during her sister's 14-year-long conservatorship. In fact, the former actress has been accused of trying to steal Britney's fortune, fighting against the movement to free her from her conservatorship, and writing tell-all books to try and profit off of her sister's name while trying to make her look bad. With Britney now finally able to speak up for herself and reportedly working on her own memoir, it will probably result in even more exposure of Jamie Lynn's horrific behavior. Number 1, Faye Dunaway. Once called the worst person in Hollywood by Bette Davis, the Academy Award winner is no doubt one of the meanest people in the industry. In 2019, she was actually fired from the Broadway production of Tea at 5 because of bizarre behavior which included hurling objects at crew members and slapping her wig-fitting team, throwing salad on the floor, and even insisting that no one wear white to rehearsal because it's distracting. That's not all. In fact, she reportedly shrieks at service industry employees and thinks that her plane tickets should be upgraded as a matter of principle. A flight attendant once claimed Dunaway was screaming at everyone, saying, "Don't you know who I am?" And while filming Chinatown, the actor once reportedly threw a cup of urine on director Roman Polanski because he wouldn't let her use the restroom. In 2019, she was also sued by her former personal assistant, who claimed that she regularly and relentlessly subjected him to, quote, demeaning tirades, and used his sexual orientation as a gay man against him. And according to an insider, Dunaway was so demonic on the set of Mummy Dearest that no one dared to approach her for fear of being verbally attacked.